Okay, I'm getting back to work on pulling the transom apart on this Starcraft. Just working today on removing the old pulley and cable steering system. Just undid the spring on this side. The other side I just gave up and cut it. I'm not reusing any of it, but I can get all that out of it, and debating on whether or not to take the splash well out. But once the steering stuff's out of the way, I'm probably going to drill out these rivets that hold these end caps on both sides, and then pull this cap off the top of the transom and remove the few bolts that go all the way through. And on the inside of the splash well, there's a whole row of screws that go across. I don't know how well you can see those all the way across, but I've got to pull those out, and then I'm going to try to slide the transom board out in one piece so I can use it as a template. But hopefully it'll work out that way. Well, I got the rivets drilled out of one of the end caps. It's actually pretty easy. Let's see. Hopefully that won't be difficult to put back. Now, I think on here, to get this out in one piece, I'm probably going to have to cut along here and then just fold this whole piece up. Hopefully that'll work out like that. I just don't want to mess up anything on this boat. This will be my first time doing this, so in case you can't tell. But it definitely has to be done, because this is just rotten. I mean, it's all just mush. I don't even know if it'll stay intact for me to use as a template. Worst case, I can always just make one out of cardboard and test fit it a few times until I get it right. Well, let's get back to work on removing the other one. The second one came off just as easy, except when I lifted it up, thousands and thousands of some kind of small insect, no clue what they were, but they just started running for their lives. I guess they were living in the wood. But I just went ahead and sprayed the whole area over here to kill them all off before they get all over me. It's weird that they're on that side, but none were on this side. Oh well, hopefully I won't find any more of them little things, because I mean, they just swarmed everywhere. I mean, they were about the size of a flea, but I don't know what they were. They're dead now, that's what I do know. I just finished pulling all the small nails out that hold this little transom cover in place. I mean, there was several of them all the way down both sides, front and back. A lot of them came right out because the wood's so mushy, but right around where the engine was mounted, the wood's still pretty solid there. But a few of them I had to tap screwdriver in behind them, and the rest of them I was able to just use this funky little tool here that I have no clue what the name is. But that got most of them out. As you can see, I didn't bend any of them. They're all still absolutely perfect. Well, as perfect as used can get. So I'll probably still be able to reuse those. But go ahead and see if this cover will come off. Should come off, I hope. Probably need both hands for it, so I'm going to put the camera down and remove it and then film again. Wish me luck. And the top plate for the transom is now removed. That thing really was pressed on there good too. But it came off with without bending it or anything, so that's a good thing. And as you can see, transom is just mush pretty much all the way across till it gets about right here, just where the engine was mounted. That's like the only place that's still solid. And then up the sides again, it goes right back to mush. I mean, it feels like a sponge. But hopefully it'll come out in one piece and I can use it as a template. Like I said, if not, then I'll just make my own template out of cardboard. Right now I'm going to go ahead and see if I can pull this piece of wood off right here. Use it as a template as well, so I don't want to mess it up too bad. So far I think I've got everything that I can remove from the top side already removed. You know, there's the end caps, the handles, which all those bolts just broke off. So, see, I guess when they're done building the boat, they grind the excess off for safety so it doesn't have any sharp edges, or maybe they just use it as a way of locking the nut in place so it won't rattle itself loose. But the handles are off, and that bolt's out of that board there, and that one came out, but this one actually was trying to break and I just gave up and cut it off with the Sawzall there. There's the other handle. There's the bolt I cut off. That was actually the easiest one to remove. So you just cut off right behind it, no problem. But I just don't know how to remove these drains. I mean, if they're salvageable, if they're able to be reused, then I want to be delicate removing them. But if there's absolutely no hope in reusing this style, I'll just take a flathead screwdriver and cave them in on themselves and pull them out. But I have no clue. Maybe I can find somebody with a little advice on those. But I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts on each side of the transom to remove, as well as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to remove this board here off the back. I know, everybody's amazed I can count. But I think the rest of this I'm going to have to climb on inside the boat. But I don't have anybody here right now to hold the flathead screwdriver on the outside. So I may have to wait a little while or wait till tomorrow so I can get a hand on it. Anyway, I'll get back to filming once I get some assistance on that. I'm back to work on removing this wood from the transom with the Starcraft. Got to get under here and remove all these screws from the bottom of the splash well, as well as these screws from this little channel down here that the wood sits down into. Should come out pretty good. At least these bolts here and these, they aren't ground down and mushroomed over like the ones on the top side, so I don't think any of them will break. Of course, as I say that, I'll probably jinx myself, but let's find out. I finally got all the screws out that hold the splash well to the transom. There are a bunch of them. And I got the rest of these bolts out as well. And the screws, same screws like what held the splash well to the transom, that go through this channel down here to the transom, or to the wood. And now I've just got to get these very difficult to access 4 bolts on each side, and I think we'll be pretty much ready to get this wood out of here. We are ready to pull the wood out. Had a hell of a time on these 4 bolts. This one here didn't want to turn, didn't want to break off or anything, so I ended up having to grind the head off of it. Rest of them ended up having to use a drill out here and just reach up in there and take hold with a wrench, but just took a while for both sides. And we already took the pair of snips and cut, you can see this, along this edge back the same distance here, so that way we could just fold this up and be able to pull the wood straight out, hopefully. And here's this side. You can definitely tell that's rotten, but now we're going to go ahead and try to get the wood out. It's getting kind of late. We may get it out in the next 5 minutes, or we may just put it off until tomorrow morning. We'll see. Oops, my bad. Forgot one last thing to remove. I don't know how I forgot them. They were my biggest concern. I still gotta pull these drains out real quick. But I found out the replacement ones are only about $4.50 a piece for the brass ones. So I'm just gonna basically cave these in on themselves with a flathead screwdriver from both ends and then squeeze it together and pull them out. So I lied. We're not ready for the wood to pull out yet, but give me just a minute. Okay, now we're finally working on pulling the transom out. The 2 end pieces came right out, since I did assemble this in 3 pieces. And so I don't mix up which is which. There they are. And easiest way to pull this up, instead of climbing in the boat and trying to pry up from underneath like I'd planned, just take a couple screwdrivers and stick them partially through the holes in the wood for either the motor mounts or the those other bolts that held the piece of wood on the back. I mean, any of them, and just lift. Works pretty good. Well, let's see if it comes the rest of the way out. Hopefully. And it's finally out. The 2 screwdriver trick worked perfect. Not only did it slide right up out of here, the 2 screwdrivers gave me something to carry it over here and set it on the ground. But there it is, the transom out of the Starcraft. Next video should be cutting the new transom out and bonding the 2 pieces of 3/4 inch plywood together, and hopefully reinstalling it without any trouble whatsoever. Got a lot of confidence, right? Stay tuned.